Live. This is One for the Record. I'm Diana, and today is September 7th, 2012. It is Friday evening, the eve of the weekend. And here's your update for today. Dr. DEAGLE is on vacation, and I guess maybe Ann Morrison and maybe the Liberty Man might be doing the third hour. I'm not sure. But we'll find out. I guess he has Ryan on there right now. And they're only in the second half of that second hour. So, just started. So, we got some time before we find out what's really going on. I might play some other things in the background while we're when we go on break for the commercials. But to start off with, it's the 46th anniversary of the original TV series Star Trek. Whoa, it's been 46 years. Boy, how time flies when you're having fun, eh? So 46th anniversary today. Google is celebrating it. And let's move on now. I love Star Trek. Romulan diplomat in the movie number 6, Undiscovered Country. There you go. Alright. Let's see here. We have 104 days, 56 minutes, and 34 seconds before December 21st, 2012. 11:11 Greenwich Mean Time. Whoa. Alrighty then. Let's move on now. We got a storm going in the Space Coast, Florida. And let's go to the Extinction Protocol 2012 and beyond. We'll check that out first. Uh-oh. Here's one for Pastor Paul Begley. Now, my power might go out. I hope not. It's a bad storm. A lot of lightning. China Yangtze River mysteriously turns blood red. It's weird how these different places are just turning blood red. Also, global economy entering into financial hurricane season. Wow, that's some strange weather out there. Also, a series of earthquakes collapsed houses and triggered landslides in a remote mountainous part of southwestern China on Friday, killing at least 67 people, with the toll expected to rise. The quake started at a 5.6 magnitude shock before 11:30 a.m. Alrighty then. That's terrible. Everything's all smashed up pictures. Pressure under Japan's Mount Fukushima. Fukushima. Here we go. Pressure under Japan's Mount Fuji volcano rising. Eruption would be nightmare for Japan. Uh-oh. Pressure under Japan's Mount Fuji volcano rising. Eruption would be nightmare for Japan and probably the rest of the world. That's what I say. Yeah, doesn't look good. Heads up on Mount Fuji. September 7th. Costa Rica. According to the latest report from Costa Rica's Volcano and Earthquake Watch, Obiscori issued at 7:30 a.m. local time, 13:30 GMT, Thursday. Some 530 aftershocks, stronger than 2 on the Richter scale, have been registered, with the stronger occurring before dawn on Thursday at 3:07 a.m. Heads up. Also today. Uh-oh, here we go. It's just jumping around. Come on. Maybe it doesn't want me to read this. Unemployment in Greece hits 24%. Jobless Greeks clean toilets in Sweden. Okay. Talks about one of the man that was a pharmaceutical salesman in Greece for 17 years. Telemakos Karachalios wore a suit, drove a company car, and had an expense account. Now he mops schools in Sweden, forced from his home by Greece's economic crisis. It was a very good job. Karachalios, 40 of his former life. Now I clean Swedish. Okay, it's hard. You know. Portugal welfare system collapsing. Heads up. Alright, that's all the news on the extinction protocol. Maybe we'll check out SOT.net. See where we are.
You know, on that, and I know the term gets thrown around a lot when Dr. Bell was talking about SNPs, single nucleotide polymorphism.
Okay, he's still doing hour 2. Let's go into SOT.net. I might have to record him separately, but it is coming up. And if it's Ann Morrison and the Liberty Man, that might be okay. I don't know if Ryan's going to stay for that or not. But Dr. DEAGLE is on vacation and he's out of town. But we better keep an eye on everybody, see where everyone's going. Heads up. Mount Fuji under more pressure than last eruption. Okay. It is now higher than it was the last time the volcano erupted more than 300 years ago. Picture how life was 300 years ago without nuclear power. Somehow they were able to manage to record all kinds of things going on even then. Biologists trying to figure why giant earthworm grew so big. Thing looks like almost like a garden snake. It's not a real good picture. Now, also, the reason why my camera will flicker, you know how it's probably like a thing where it's like a thing that's, you can't film your TV with your video camera, there's lines that go through. That's what's flickering when I turn the camera towards the computer. Just a heads up for that. It's not the camera, it's the hidden lines that they put through there that you can't see to the naked eye. Alright. Earthquake shakes Beverly Hills for second time in a week. Uh-oh. Do we need to evacuate? People are wondering if they need to evacuate in Beverly Hills. And they had a magnitude 2 earthquakes have struck this week. A magnitude 3.5 was reported 12:03 a.m. Friday. Wow. And then there was a 3.2. So actually, the first one was a 3.2 earlier this week. And then on Friday, it got stronger. That's different. That means that's not an aftershock, probably. Pre-shock. Massive dust cloud billows over Phoenix skies. Oh my goodness, so they got another one going over there. Let's see. Also today, back-to-back earthquakes shake Central California. 132 miles from San Jose. 50 miles south of Fresno. 3.5. Oh. The seismologists say the quakes are not on the San Andreas Fault and weren't triggered by a magnitude 7.6. Okay. And then again, the Yance River turns red. Well, Red Seas. Sinkhole in parking lot swallows car in North Carolina. Heads up, it's like straight down into the ground, with the rear end sticking out. Also today, Indonesia Volcanology Office issues warning for Tangkuban Perahu. Yesterday. Hold on a moment.
Hard-hitting talk radio.
Let's see if this is it. Just one moment.
Talk radio starts here.
Let's see what this is first. I want to make sure we catch it.
Welcome back to the NutriMedical Report. This is Brian filling in for Dr. Bill DEAGLE, who's on vacation. In this last section of the day, we want to focus on a big topic for people. I know it's Friday, so this isn't necessarily as relevant as it's going to be on Monday, but stress and stress response. I know you guys are out there, pretty much already have your plan for the weekend. You get out of work and you're going to go find some place to relax and sit down and have a glass of wine or a beer or what have you, and maybe 2 or 3 just to really take the edge off and get the weekend started right.
Not sure if it's
and that can be fine. Obviously, a couple drinks a day, it's known as anti-inflammatory in its effectiveness. It can help people stay younger longer because red wine, for example, and the whole French paradox and the serotonin gene class upregulation, those are all great things. But it's very easy for people to push right past that 1 or 2 drinks, start doing 3, 4, 5 drinks, where it really actually flips on its head and becomes highly damaging to the body, right? Creates a lot of toxic response. I think you know what I'm talking about, especially when you wake up the next morning and you feel the toxic response. But stress, it builds up on us. It is one of the most damaging things that we deal with, although there's no way to put your finger on exactly what caused it. You know of sources in your life that caused it, just generally. You don't like paying taxes, or you don't like it that your paycheck is not enough money for X, Y, and Z, or your kids aren't getting good grades. You can think of a million reasons, but it's the culmination of all these things that all the time that are really wearing our bodies out faster than they need to. So when it comes to stress response, one of the greatest things, and it's one of the fastest moving products that's been introduced in the NutriMedical line of all time, is using something like Calm Mind. Calm Calm Mind is a powdered formulation.
Okay, Calm Mind. Alrighty. Well, he's still talking about his NUTRIMEDICAL, which is not bad. It's good stuff. Moving on. Oh, I was hoping for the earth changes. Hopefully he is going to do the earth changes. I will find it very interesting if no one is around. Mount Fuji under more pressure than last eruption. This is yesterday on SOT.net. China earthquakes damage 20,000 homes, leave 50 dead. 50 dead. Heads up. And that was posted today. Let's move on. There might be a page 2 on here. I'll go to page 2. Usually I don't have to. Also today, wow, a lot of news on SOT.net. Good job, SOT. Hurricane Leslie and Category 3 Michael stir in the Atlantic Ocean. Oh, this is going to be like a superstorm or something. My goodness. More than 500 aftershocks rattle Costa Rica. That's today. Including one as strong as a 5.1 on the Richter scale. Also, okay, that's it. There's no also. Okay, moving on. A lot of earth movement, okay? Heads up, be prepared. I might put on the last part of one of the videos I was watching. I think his name was David Acton. He was on InfoWars a couple days ago. He gave some real good prepper information. I might fill in some of that during the commercial breaks. Don't know how I do it, but I'd like to do something like that. Here we go. Let's move on now to the Watchers. Watching the world. Let's make sure we're still connected. The Watchers. What's going on? Come on, come up. Hopefully I don't have to reconnect or something. Uh-oh. We better check out what's going on the broadcast. Nope, we're still going strong. Still going strong. I don't know what that is. Hey, now, I don't know. Alrighty. Watchers. Oh, we're slowing down. Come on. Let's see if we can get back up on here. There we go. It's probably the second commercial, so after this commercial we should be going into the earth changes, and hope there's someone there to do it. China, 5.6, series of devastating earthquakes hit Yunnan region in China. Also, what else do we have? Dust storm over... Oops, something happened just now. Let me move on. Let's go further down. Maybe that's safer. Dust storm over the Red Sea. Shaking video of magnitude 7.6 Costa Rica on September 5th. Dust storm in northern Taklamakan Desert, China today. Sun turns black, fear not, it's only SDO eclipse season. Okay. Moving on. We'll go into Fukushima Daiichi, Japan. Okay. E&E.
To deliver EPA and DHA.
Nope, still talking away. Okay. Uh-oh, got a lot of news on Fukushima, Japan. Japan Times, Unit 4 fuel pool continues to alarm scientists and government officials around the world. Intense criticism from some senior U.S. officials. Don't criticize, take action. Don't criticize, please take action. Someone take action. You gotta breathe the same air. You can complain all you want, but if you don't fix it, then you're just as much at fault. Got it? TEPCO official in Washington, D.C. We don't know location of melted fuel from Fukushima reactors. See how they said it was stable? Remember that one a while back? TEPCO official in Washington, D.C. We don't know location of melted fuel from Fukushima reactors. No, but part of it did go into the Pacific because we watched it blow up on the TV. On your own cameras, you could see the fuel rods go woo up in the air. And where did it go? In the ocean. I didn't see anyone picking any of that up off the ground. Fukushima farmer hopes that ducks will eat up the radiation. ABC Australia. Yeah, and then they'll eat the ducks, right? They'll send it over here, right? Nuclear engineer. Tanks of screaming hot radioactive sludge from Fukushima reactors could rupture. TEPCO. Krypton 85 increased at reactor 1. Hey, Krypton, is that like kryptonite almost? Krypton 85 increased at reactor 1. Nitrogen injected to reduce explosive hydrogen. Hydrogen as in hydrogen bomb. Yesterday, Japanese professor, all the nuclear interests want to do is avoid making nuclear power at central election issue. Gunderson, government trying to frighten people. Public. Sorry, government trying to frighten public. Let's move on now. Let's listen.
And on the go. So
here we go. This might be the show.
On the banner at GCNlive.com. Thanks again for listening to GCNlive.com.
And that's the news for today in Japan.
Have you ever wondered?
Okay, let's see. Let's go into U.S. Canada. Quick. We don't want to miss it. Senior advisor. Mystery bacteria growing on nuclear fuel rods have unknown DNA sequence. Right now we are trying to figure out what they're using for food. Oh yeah, be careful. Didn't they try to make some kind of bacteria eat the radiation? Or didn't I hear that somewhere?
It's 1970.
They're trying to develop that? Yeah, heads up. Large sections of thick liquid oil spotted floating in Gulf after Isaiah. Oiled wildlife reported. And that was today. Yesterday, BP oil exposed by Isaiah not degrading. Official will be cleaning up for next 20 years if nothing's done. Researcher, there is going to be the new normal for Gulf Coast.
colon.
Alright, colon. There it is. Alrighty then. We're going to get into the NUTRIMEDICAL report. It's coming on now, I believe. Let me go back here so I can monitor when I turn this camera around.
With 3.
I'm going to start turning it around now. We're just going to listen to it. There it is. It's not Dr. Bill DEAGLE today, though. It's Ryan. There you go. Wow. Let's see if we can get this to stand up right, and we'll be alright. I'm going to have I'll probably drop the camera. Be prepared to fall.
And this is J.R. Moore and Ann Morris
It is.
for Dr. Bill DEAGLE here on Genesis, NUTRIMEDICAL report. We'll be carrying this for the next half hour, and then I think we have a guest joining us, Ann, at the bottom of the hour, don't we?
Not that I'm aware of.
Well, the message I got from Dr. Bill was that we'd be joined by somebody at the bottom of the hour. In the meantime, this is J.R. Moore. I do a Monday through Friday show on Republic Broadcasting, 7 to 8 a.m., Monday through Friday. And Ann Morrison, she has her own website and is a frequent guest on my show. Her website is homeland-defense, number 4-letter-U.com. My website is thelibertyman.com. And I was telling you off the air a few minutes ago that in the last 2 hours, one of my confidential sources, actually 2 of them, have come up with some very vital information that, according to the Center for Disease Control, which we sometimes call jokingly the Center for Disease Creation, the West Nile virus and the H3N2V, that's Hotel 3 November 2 Victor virus, has now combined into one organism, which I think we can all agree cannot possibly happen in nature.
Yeah, well, actually it did. It mixed in the human body. The last live attenuated virus that was given to children and people up to age 60 contained both an H1N1 and an H3N2, and they have mixed within the human body.
Well, that's the part that can happen, but I'm talking about what cannot happen is the West Nile virus mixing with these in nature. That can't happen naturally. In fact, information I got in is that the only laboratory that could do that is a Russian biological weapons lab in Belarus, which is a part of Russia, of course. Anybody who wants to learn more about biological weapons, I urge them to get their hands on a book that has a one-word title. The title of it is Biohazard. Many libraries have had it, and many have pulled it off the shelves because it's really a scary book, written by Ken Allebeck. Ken Allebeck is an anglicized version, a Southern Muslim name. Ken worked in the Russian biological weapons program for more than two decades and received a number of awards for creating things that God never intended to live on this planet before he escaped and defected to the West, where he began documenting and letting people know the true nature and the true size of the Russian biological weapons program, which is massive, absolute massive program with thousands of scientists and more than a dozen locations where they make these horrendous weapons of biological weapons. So, Ann, that's an update there. I know that this morning we were talking about a number of topics, what's going on with these nuclear plants in the United States, and quite a few of them have been shut down, haven't they?
They have, and I think that's because the CME that came in July 12th, they lost a lot of emergency diesel generators on that case, and they're now looking at their safety procedures for magnetic. Well, it created ground currents, and apparently the plants are not protected against ground currents. Okay,
and I should tell everybody there's a pretty good little thunderstorm over me. It may have passed over, but I've already been knocked off the air once while I was waiting for the show to start. So if I suddenly go silent in the middle of a sentence, that's what's going on there. Anyway, Ann, the CME, of course, is a coronal mass ejection. For those who don't know, it's a natural event, a huge wave of energy coming at us from the sun. And that can create a ground wave current that can knock out these emergency backup generators, can't it?
Yeah, there's been some instances where that's occurred. And once that happens, then if something should happen, if they should lose outside power, they all need outside power. And if they should lose outside power, such as due to a storm like you're going through, then those emergency diesel generators aren't useful.
Well, and that would lead to what happening?
Well, that means that they go into a what's called an event where you shut down the it's called a scram.
Okay.
And
they have a hot shutdown.
That is a hot shutdown.
It is a hot shutdown. Okay, it's different words, the same thing. Okay.
Well, a scram is the actual action that makes the hot shutdown occur.
Okay.
So you say that the nuclear plant is in a condition of hot shutdown, but the operator is the one that puts the button called scram. And
okay.
then that will automatically, generally it will automatically insert the control rods into the nuclear power pile. But even if the automatic shutdown doesn't work, then they are manually prepared to insert the control rods into the pile.
Okay. Well, we certainly don't want that to happen. And any idea how many of these nuclear power plants were affected in this manner?
I've heard up to 6, but at the same time, what's going on is that the NRC has issued directives because of this is their reasoning, because of the earthquake that occurred in Japan, which damaged the Fukushima nuclear power plant, and because of the 5.8, the magnitude 5.8 earthquake that occurred in Virginia that closed down the North Anna nuclear power plant. They are now requiring all nuclear power plants to be investigated. And one of the things they're looking for is, can something fall during an earthquake that would damage equipment that we need to run the plant?
Right, right.
So it's just simple housekeeping. This hadn't looked at what an earthquake could do, and it sounds to me like they're really worried about a big earthquake.
Well, my inside sources are telling me that people that are connected to certain families are being told that they should evacuate if they're east Mississippi and get themselves west Mississippi as soon as possible because of these earth changes and the very likely effect that they'll have on these nuclear power plants, cause them to go into an uncontrolled or out of control situation where the vast amounts of radiation will be released. So that's what I'm hearing from my private sources, is that people are, with these connected families, are being told to get themselves west Mississippi as soon as they can, and before the Mississippi becomes a river waterway 50 to 100 miles wide and 200 feet deep. And of course, the only people crossing then would be the military.
Well, I think that's probably a wise thing to do. They have a lot of nuclear power generation stations or plants along the East Coast, and of course we do have some here in the Midwest too. You don't want to be too close to any of them, I don't think. But we do have the possibility of an asteroid coming in. They've just announced that the 2012 QG42, and this was updated September 14th, will come within 6 moon distances. Now that doesn't seem like much, but the important part of this message that's on the JPL NEO site is that the condition code is 6. Now the condition code goes from 0 to 9, and 9 means that we just don't know how good our calculations are. And so 6 is way above half of that. And so it could be 6 lunar distance plus or minus 4.
Now, a lunar distance is about 250,000 miles, I believe.
It's 202,000 miles.
Not quite 250,000 miles, just a little over 200,000 miles. So 6 of those would be just over 1 million miles, not quite 1.5 million miles.
Right, but because the condition code is a 6. Now remember the other asteroid we talked about, they have not updated that since May, and I'm really suspicious about that. In May, there was the last update on that, and it was going to strike the Earth on February 15th at midnight. I hear music.
Okay, well, we got a break coming up. Everybody stay tuned. We'll be back after the break.
I'm not sure. That's kind of bizarre. I'm not sure how old this is. They haven't updated since September 14th. This might be an old program, which would be really bizarre. Heads up. That's a real heads up. So when this comes back, you don't have to look at the screen, but when this comes back, man, I'm wondering if we're going to cut it short. We might have to cut this short. We'll listen to it, but if they're not going to mention the 7.6 and the Costa Rican earthquake, maybe Dr. Bill's on the move. You get what I'm saying? This isn't adding up to me yet. We'll wait and see when they come back. Sounds like this is months old, maybe. I'm not sure yet. This is throwing me for a loop. Now, earthquake overview. I'm looking at Dutch Census channel. I can maybe, let me put it on. And I'm looking at all the earthquakes going up and down. The West Coast. Lots of swarmage. Let me look here. 2 weeks of major unrest, it says. Let's see if I can get this to mute. If I can get it to mute, then I can... Where's the mute? Let me mute it. Let's bring the sound down. So I don't want to lose your medical report just in case. Uh-oh. We're just going to fly all over the place on this. Let me move it forward. See what he says here. He's saying Matthew chapter 24 verse, for nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilence, earthquakes in diverse places. All these are the beginning of sorrows. There was a Christian prophet who stated this on YouTube. John Paul Jackson prophecy for Japan. Mount Fuji will erupt. 3 warning signs. So, yet I agree with you, Dutch. Things are getting intense. Okay, let's look here. That was just a comment. I don't see more info that he's showing. He says there was an earthquake animation of the Costa Rica shockwave across North America. And it just went all the way down and up. The shockwave reached all the way up. Let's see if I can stop this. Let's back it up. I'll see if they're going to come back in a minute. Stop it. Let's go, come on. That shockwave it traveled all the way up. Wow, up into the East Coast. All over this shockwave was huge. My goodness. Alrighty, let's see if they're back. He
I
just came
thought
back.
we were going to be joined by Alexander Buckman, but Alexander, are you there, sir? Okay, I guess he didn't make it back. He was talking during the break, and we thought he would be with us. Maybe he's having a thunderstorm where he is as well. We were talking during the break about the serious chemical weapons arsenal, and Alexander thoughtfully posted this at his website, the DEPCA file article. DEPCA is widely believed to be connected to the Mossad. With the quality of information that they post, I would not be surprised at all if DEPCA file was connected to the Mossad. But this article here, and they're citing the Washington Post, that there's several hundred tons of chemical weapons and precursors for chemical weapons, including battlefield-ready sarin gas, at widely distributed sites. Standard sites kept in bunkers at a half dozen locations. The report shows that we're too low on specific knowledge to make good administrative threat to Bashar Assad, and he may move his chemical weapon stocks. So, Ann, it looks like we once again, if we go into this country, which I don't believe we have any valid reason to go into Syria myself, our men and women will once again be on a chemical battlefield as were in Iraq. I recall when I was talking to my friends in the Army Reserve, I was actually considered going back on active duty for the first Gulf War 22 years ago. And my friends, they told me, John, it's going to be a chemical battlefield. You want nothing to do with this. Stay away from it. And I do thank them profusely for giving me that heads up, because most of them are either sick or dead, the ones that did go to the first Gulf War. So, anyway, Ann, it looks like we're, once again, we, being the United States, are preparing to go to war with a country that we have no argument with, a country which is at peace with its neighbors, having internal difficulties, most likely stirred up by the CIA. These Arab Spring incidents are not spontaneous. They're not grassroots spontaneous uprisings. They are contrived by our intelligence services, especially the CIA and the State Department, of course, working in collusion. So, Ann, we're off to the races once again with another possible war in the Middle East, this time with a country that has been a client state of Russia for decades, and Lord knows what they have there in terms of equipment and supplies to be used against us. Do you have any thoughts on that, Ann?
Well, yeah, those chemical weapons, apparently they had them stored around the countryside in different locations. They didn't have them in a centralized location, and they didn't have them near their big cities. And now a lot of the countryside has been taken over by the rebels. That's what they're calling themselves. And so there's some thought that maybe the rebels would get a hold of these chemical weapons and then sell them. Well,
that's a scary thought. These modern chemical weapons, nerve gas, all it takes is one drop on exposed skin and it will kill you. One drop. And it's a horrific way to die, by the way. Very painful, horrific way to die. So hopefully that will not be the case, and the Syrian government will maintain control over these stocks of chemical and probably biological weapons too. These types of weapons are frequently referred to as the poor man's nukes. Countries that can't afford to get their hands on nuclear weapons, typically they go the chemical and biological weapon route as their way to obtain what might be called weapons of mass destruction. So we'll see. I don't have enough information to know whether the Syrian government has maintained control over these biological chemical weapons or not. Hopefully they have, and they've done the right thing. And things are kind of chaotic over there, aren't they?
Well, and that's what we're getting out of the State Department and out of the administration is, it's like they're building up. They keep talking more and more like there's this possibility, and therefore we need to make sure that that doesn't happen, and therefore Assad has to go, and therefore we need to be involved. And I don't know how much of that is rhetoric or how much of that is the last thing I heard, Assad said he had control over all the chemical weapons, and he was moving them to safe places. But I don't,
Hello?
you know, he could be moving them to Iran. Is that Alexander?
Yeah, Ann, hi.
You're with us.
Hi.
You're back, Alexander. Okay, great. Well, we've got about 4 or 5 minutes here before the break, Alexander. I was talking about your article you have posted here on your website from the Washington Post and Debka. It's a very concerning matter, isn't it?
Yes, our line just got blocked by design. I mean, it's being blocked. Our landline is being blocked for some reason. We know what the reason is. The reason is their interests here at play. I do not want you to know that Barack Hussein Obama's re-election is at risk if Israel attacks before the election day. And one of the things that I would like to point people to the focus file at alexanderbachman.com so they can read it in the free time, download it before it's taken down or something. But what happens here is we're seeing a scenario where we're talking about thousands of tons of biological or chemical weapons. We have VX gas, we have sarin gas, we have all types of little end of the world stockpiles of weapons that Assad has, and the situation gets even worse when we see this contrived manipulation by what's Al-Qaeda, but Al-Qaeda is financed by Al-Qaeda, and then there's no up and down here because NATO's supporting these Arab Spring movements all over the world, and now in Mexico we're having the same design all over again. By the 1st of December, we expect a revolution or a civil war to break out in Mexico, the same way that's happening over there. So, you see, the situation is that this is they're playing their last card. And their last card is to pressure Israel into a preemptive attack. Now, Israel has to attack because what's going on here is Israel has its hands tied. On one side of the equation, it has a real threat from Iran. The leadership in Iran and the imams in Iran has said and stated unequivocally that they want to wipe Israel off the map. That's not the common consensus of the Iranian population, nor the Israeli population for that matter. I mean, these are the big players that just want to duke it out by themselves. The problem is they want to take everybody down with them. And for the survivability and the necessary existence of Israel, Israel is considering to attack before the U.S. election. And according to Mike Evans, a Middle Eastern specialist who sits down with these top brass over there in Israel, it's confirmed that between the 15th of September or the 8th through the 15th of October, Israel will strike Iran. And that is a quote. So
well, we need to keep in mind, Alexander, there's hundreds, if not thousands, of Russian, Chinese, and French technicians working the nuclear program in Iran. And if Russian and Chinese technicians die, there's going to be hell to pay.
Since 1974.
Not sure, but I guess that's a recent one. Gosh, it's hard to tell, because they're not talking about Costa Rica or anything yet. So I'm finding it very interesting. This might be an older program, which would be very odd for him to do. All I got to say is heads up on that. And I did post some interesting things yesterday, well, actually today, early in the morning. So go ahead and clean the house, do whatever you need to do. This is like a radio program right now. And we'll listen in a little bit longer. If I don't hear anything else, like regular, Earth changes information, then I might just cut this off. We'll see. Well, Let's see, what's going on with this commercial?
Independent studies show that
Yeah. We're still on commercial break. Stand by. Something must be up. We're still standing by. Let me see here.
It's 2237.
Almost time to go back. We'll see. Strange program tonight. I'm gonna have to investigate more things later. So it sounds like H1N1, you can catch it from a mosquito or something, because it's combining with the West Nile. So heads up on that one. Better get some Skin So Soft, or get some kind of repellent and use it. We don't know what's going on now. The mosquitoes.
storage.com.
Whoop. Not back yet. Avon sells Skin So Soft. Bugs don't like it. Let's see what else is going on. Let's see.
Organic soil conditioner.
Nope. No news about the sinkhole. No news about the earthquake. I gotta see if this is like a year old. There's something, I don't know. There's something just not right about this program that's on.
Just as you prepare all else, prepare your crisis garden for maximum yields with EM.
Yeah. But we'll listen to it a little bit longer. And then I'll cut it off. If we don't hear the right information, it's not going to help us.
Organics. Life's getting better.
Are you tired of searching for great talk
Coming
radio?
back. Here we
More
go.
important, search no more. We are the GCN Radio Network.
We're back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. This is J.R. Moore and Ann Morrison and Alexander Bachman. Alexander's website is Alexander Bachman, spelled with a K, alexanderbachman.com. Ann Morrison's Homeland-Defense #4 and of course my website is thelibertyman.com. We're substituting for Dr. Bill DEAGLE. His website is NutriMedical Report, or NutriMedical.com, excuse me. And this is a NutriMedical Report. Alexander, during the break, you were talking about an article on your website that talks about this possible preemptive strike on the part of Israel against Iran before the election. That's a pretty scary thing, isn't it?
Well, it is if you consider the consequences for Obama. I mean, he's probably scared out of his wits, and he's probably in his little room over there in the White House, praying to Allah or something. But let me tell you something. Mike Evans is an incredible man that is bringing out information here, and he's saying the following. He says, quote, "This is on the ground presently. I mean, the window of attack between the 15th of September through the 15th of October." He said, quote, "This, obviously, something could preempt that, but because of that, Obama is trying to pressure Israel out of the attack because he's afraid that because of that, he might not get reelected. Israel is trying to get a hard promise from the U.S. that they'll support an attack, as told WorldNet Daily." So, John, you know what Obama would do if Israel tries to attack Iran before election. What is that?
Well, the information I'm getting, Alexander, is that there will be a contrived economic meltdown / collapse leading to a bank holiday being declared, which would lead to civil disorder, because once these EET cards, these electronic benefit transfer cards, which are basically debit cards. Once they no longer work, these cities will start burning in a matter of hours, if not minutes. That, of course, would lead to martial law being declared, at least in the major cities where they're having civil disorder. And, of course, that easily could lead to no elections in November as well. The people behind Obama, the communist and international bankers behind Obama, they won't tolerate any chance of him losing an election. So they'll do what they need to do, including something as dramatic and disastrous as an economic meltdown to guarantee his continuation in office by not having elections. So it's a very serious situation, nothing can be taken lightly.
And it's not only the economic collapse, we're also talking about, according to Evans, and he indicated that he has knowledge that the Mexican drug cartels have received over $1 billion from Iran directly to insert or embed thousands of Hezbollah terrorists into the United States. And that they have orders that if the U.S. supports Israel's attack on Iran, then the terrorists would attack asymmetrically by hitting key Jewish population centers within the United States. Mumbai-style attacks, I imagine, plus other things. I mean, we know that Iran has threatened to use nuclear.
I agree with what you're saying, Alexander, but I doubt they would restrict their activity to strictly Jewish targets. I believe it would be against Americans in general. I just watched the film The Siege last night, and Mumbai-type attacks on the general population are certainly not out of keeping with what they've done in other places. I expect that they would attack shopping malls, elementary school, hospitals, any place where there's large groups of people, sporting events. It would be a great place to have thousands of people concentrated in one spot to accomplish their goal of spreading terror and attacking the great Satan, which is what they call it, don't they, Alexander?
Yes, and I was up in the United States about 2 months ago, over there near Kearney Mesa in California. I went to, I'm sorry for the commercial, hometown buffet, and we stayed there until 9 p.m. And there were 7 men. They were all from the Middle East, speaking Farsi, and they were all alone. They were not eating. They were just sitting down drinking liquids and scoping the entire restaurant. I mean, nobody, where's the alert bells there? Nobody's paying attention to these things. Just this week, on Monday, we got a word from somebody inside a Walmart in Los Angeles where saw 8 individuals of Middle Eastern descent just walking inside the supermarket scanning. They didn't even buy anything. They were just walking around.
Well, I'm not concerned. So those venues are pretty limited number of targets and potential victims. Some of the college football stadiums are packed with 100,000 individuals on a Saturday afternoon. That's the kind of venue that I would be concerned about.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from. I do believe that the scenario you see in the movie The Siege with Bruce Willis and Denzel Washington is very, very possible indeed. You see, to just blow up a bus in the middle of L.A. or Houston is not that difficult at all.
No, it's not, and we don't need to be running through scenarios. The terrorists have all their plans well in place, and there's been, and of course you're from Mexico, Alexander. You're very aware of the bits and pieces left behind inadvertently on the U.S. and Mexican border that clearly come from people that come from the Middle East, aren't you?
Yes, precisely. I mean, we have activity here as well. I mean, we go to the restaurants and then we see like 8 Turkish men speaking Turk, just eating by themselves in Mexican restaurants all the time. What are the Turks doing here? What are the Israelis doing south of the border? Why did Israel invest $100 million in its embassy in Mexico City and retrofitted it the top tech, super cutting-edge technology? Why do we have the Israelis building super secret underground bunkers under Mexico City that go all the way down 40 stories? Why do we have the failed state scenario along the border with these drug wars as a front in order to create that destabilizing force to open up the borders for a massive invasion or incursion to the United States if need be. All these things are playing out right now, and we understand that Mexico is going to be a world where the highest bidders are going to be playing as for Mexico and fighting for Mexico in order to get to the United States. I mean, that's the scenario we have right now.
Well, I agree absolutely, Alexander. And the American border with Mexico is many, many miles of it are unguarded, unprotected. The talk about building a wall remains only talk after all these years. The high-tech devices that they worked with Boeing aircraft, I believe, to install down there was a complete and total failure and waste of taxpayer money. So we've had American civilians doing their little projects along the border with some effect, and the Border Patrol has basically been had their authority and power taken away from them. They really can't patrol the way they should with proper equipment and weapons and so forth. It's an absolute mess down there, isn't it?
Yes. And the situation will escalate. You will see, we have it last December reported by Univision out of Miami, a special report on the Iranian threat, how Iran is trying to compromise Mexican university students in order to create a super cyber attack against the United States. It is my contention that Anonymous is a front for these groups, not necessarily Iran. It could be rogue elements within the CIA even that are creating all these cyber attacks in order to create all these elements that will eventually blow up into a full-scale war. I mean, we're already in World War III. The thing is that it hasn't become an open war as we would expect. And right now with Turkey, yeah, go ahead.
Well, we didn't call World War II until it had already been going on for about 4 or 5 years. You know, the invasion of Manchuria by Japan, the invasion of Ethiopia by Italy, that was the beginning parts of World War II, but nobody called it that for several years, did they?
Well, I still can't get a bearing on when this report was done. Okay? We can wait till they come back, or we can call it a day on this. I don't know what to believe. I don't even know when this was recorded. Okay? I'm still not getting a time frame bearing. I can't figure it out. I don't know why it's on. This doesn't say it's they don't give an announcement. This is like a look back on one of the shows. So I'm starting to get skeptical. So I'm not hearing any up-to-date information. We'll give it one more shot, and then I think if they keep talking about this stuff, I'm going to give up. This would be the last commercial break anyway. I think we're getting close to 1:03. This is going to be the end of the show. So, heads up. I don't know what's going on. I think it's bizarre. I'm going to see what Alex Jones is doing later. See what he reported on, or if he's gone too. He actually said he was considering leaving the country a couple days ago. So we'll see. Starting to consider it. Let's see what's going on. Alright. Well, I'm sure we're not back yet. We'll try it in a minute. Strange show. Very strange.
The firepower.
Nope, not back yet.
Recycling system.
Nope.
Eight.
No, keep trying. That's all I can do.
And Mr. Alexander Bachman, the Mexican journalist, his website is alexanderbachman.com. Alexander, during the break, you gave me a heads up on something I was not aware of. Apparently, the Canadian government has closed their embassy in Tehran, Iran. Tell us about that.
Yeah, this is on the Drudge Report right now. We have what he's saying an October surprise, probably. Canada closes embassy in Iran and it brings diplomats home. Obviously, when we see the G7 closing their embassies within Iran, that means an attack is imminent. We say it openly, it is imminent. That means that any moment now you will see Israel start, maneuvers in order to stop this. We have Turkish officials now taking command of the Syrian rebel brigades in northern Israel is on alert. So it's going down.
Well, when a country closes an embassy under the conditions that Canada is doing it, that tells me that they want to protect their people, get all their classified documents stored or shredded, whatever they're going to do, and move out in an orderly fashion before the attack, hopefully several weeks before the attack, so they're not caught at the last minute scrambling out off the roof like we had to do in Vietnam. So that's a very serious matter, Alexander, when we see these embassies closing and their people being evacuated, which I think that's a fair assessment on your part, that we're getting ready to go to war. And Turkey taking command and control of the Syrian rebels is another part of this. Of course, Turkey ran that part of the country, that part of the world for at least 6 centuries before the Ottoman Empire was broken up, the Ottoman Empire being run in Turkey. That's very significant that Turkish armed forces are taking control of the Syrian rebels, don't you think?
Well, it's very considerable, considering that they turned their back on NATO, and Turkey is really basically siding with Iran on these issues and is anti-Israel. Also, we have the head of Hezbollah, once again, Hassan Nasrallah, saying, that the U.S. Middle East bases will pay dearly if Israel attacks Iran. Why does he say this? Well, we have a situation where there's a plan. If Iran is attacked by Israel, Hezbollah would attack all U.S. bases in the region. What would happen is Obama would be forced, according to specialists, to use ICBM weaponry against Tehran or locations in Iran in order to stop this because of the huge investment military-wise.
Right. Well, things are heating up, and you were telling me about an earlier conversation you had with Dr. Bill earlier today, and he was expressing his concern. I share Dr. Bill's concern. All the chess players are being put in place on the chessboard in what appears to be an end game for World War III about to get underway.
And Nasrallah, head of Hezbollah, said there are 3 things that he said in his message from Tehran to Washington and Jerusalem. He said Iran believes an Israeli attack will take place before the U.S. presidential election on November 6th. Number two, Tehran is drawing on a powerful deterrent, and what we're seeing here is low-key Iranian response to an attack on its nuclear facilities, and what we will see that basically terrorism will be conducted against specific Western targets, not only in the Middle East but also around the world.
Well, along the same lines, there's a note on Drudge here right now that quantitative easing number 3 is coming. That's what I've been looking for as the next quantitative easing matter. That will be the precipitating event for the financial collapse that would lead to the bank holiday, which would lead to the election being canceled.
And we knew they would align everything perfectly like a Stanek symphony. You know what I mean? I mean, they're putting all the instruments to play the same song to create the great crescendo of total turmoil and destruction.
I agree, absolutely. Another interesting headline, they've got Clint Eastwood in one of his cowboy outfits, and a quote from him that Hussein Obama is the greatest hoax ever perpetrated on the American people. How about that?
Well, he is, you know.
Well, he is. You know, you can't be president of the United States and have only one American parent. Both parents have to be Americans to be a natural-born citizen. That seems to get past most people, doesn't it, Alexander?
Yeah, and Lyndon LaRouche, I mean, he's 90 years old. He's still shouting out and saying, you know, these people in the elite are insane. They want thermonuclear war. They want the U.S. destroyed. They want the whole world destroyed. And he says you cannot allow a thermonuclear war just because these guys in Congress don't feel like fighting. And that's...
Well, for once, I agree. There's not much I agree with Lyndon LaRouche, but I certainly agree with that statement that these people are absolutely insane and that they will unleash thermonuclear war in a heartbeat if they think it serves their purposes.
And we know that the time is running out because in Iran they already, you know, prepared all the troops and the Iranian Republican Guard. They prepared them that this was the war to end all wars. They gave them this special book, according to Reza Khalili. Remember that basically prepares them for the 12th Mahdi coming out of the bottomless pit.
The 12th Mahdi person, they think that he will be revealed sometime after or during this war, don't they?
Well, the perfect scenario is in the new Batman movie that just came out. You have to watch that and look at it. This Bane character is radical Islam, and this Ra's al Ghul's daughter, who's a little girl that looks like a boy comes out of a bottomless pit. It's the initiation of Islamic invasion of the world. It's just a massive ritual that they did in Hollywood.
I wasn't aware I needed to watch the new Batman movie, but maybe I'll watch it this weekend if I have some discretionary time.
Well, the embedded codes in that movie are tantamount and necessary for anybody to understand how they will collapse the United States. It's the same thing that's happening right now. That's inside that movie. They're acclimating society to accepting this, yeah.
Absolutely amazing. And, of course, we've known for years, Alexander, that the powers that be like to broadcast their subtle and not so subtle messages in mainstream Hollywood movies, don't they?
Yeah, no, this is now in your face kind of deal. This is like, look, this is what we're going to do anyway, and you can't stop us. We're going to do Islamic terror in your streets. We're going to collapse and create total anarchy and chaos within the streets, and people will create their own justice system against the elites. That's what is being pushed, a communist agenda right there in your movie called Batman, The Dark Knight Rising. Same ritual he did at the Olympics, you know, with this massive display of Good Morning to the Night. It's like the Black Awakening here. It's just terrible. We have to just prepare ourselves, prepare our families, and go into prayer, because I think we're weeks away from something really
may very well be.
start happening.
And I agree with you absolutely. Our spiritual house needs to be in order. I encourage people to visit alexanderbachman.com. I encourage people to visit homeland-defense4u.com, Dr. Deagle's website, NutriMedical, and be a regular listener to Alexander and myself. Alexander's going to be on my show Monday morning on Republic Broadcasting. Dr. Deagle presents a lot of good information that people need to be aware of to be healthy and be safe. And of course, my website is thelibertyman.com. We have a relatively short time to alert and be the watchman wall for as many people as possible, don't we, Alexander?
Yes, and pray for all the people that, you know, are over there in Iran. There's so many good Christian people there. You know, Bibles are being distributed as we speak. It's prohibited by law over there, but, you know, and pray for the Christian pastor over there, Youssef, that's, you know, on trial for being Christian.
It's kind of ironic that the country that was the best place in the Middle East, even above and beyond Israel, our ally, up until a few years ago, was Iraq. The best place in the Middle East to be a Christian, wasn't it?
Precisely, and now, you know, and what's at stake with Assad going down is putting Sharia law back again in Syria, and, you know, all the Christian people that live in Syria are going to suffer the consequence, and I tell them now, if you listen to this broadcast, get out of Syria now.
They will. Well, they know. These people are smart people. They know they need to evacuate, and their centuries-long tradition of getting along with Muslims is coming to an end, just like it did in Lebanon, just like it did in Iraq. Once these, you know.
All right, that was the NUTRIMEDICAL report from who knows when. Seems like it was a while back. Alrighty then, you take care. Well, at least I played it. Take care. It is 5 days down. We're going into the weekend, and I'll see you on the flip side tomorrow.